Strength lives within each of us. It's built upon ideals and inspired by the world around us. It's shown in the heroes who've come before and grows in the hearts of all who stand for our great nation. It's fueled by ideas and innovation to inspire and preserve a people whose opportunities are as solid and open as the land in which we live. It's strength that comes from the power of the skies, protecting our freedoms with the force of our thunder, and preserved upon the wings and wild of our imagination, the blue of our skies, and yonder generations yet to come.
We're flying in the middle of an exercise. We took off, no issues, went over to the range, so on the other side of the Great Salt Lake. And I was looking over my shoulder, looking for my wingman. And I felt a very impressive bang from the jet. It was hard enough, it knocked my feet off the rudder pedals and smashed my head up against the HUD.
Warning, warning. Warning, warning.
My initial reaction was that I hit something, so I thought I just had a midair with somebody. I knew it wasn't my wingman, but I didn't know what else it could be. At the moment, to me, all I knew was huge bang, compressor stall, and I look back forward, and my RPM on the engine is just sliding down to zero. So called to knock it off with my wingman, got him eyes back onto where I was, tried a couple restarts, which obviously wasn't going to happen with the engine completely shelled out. So I took the jet as far as I could glide it, slowed it down as much as I could, and then pulled the handle and ejected. It ended up in a fireball that was certainly bigger than the 2,000-pound bombs that we dropped. It was a massive explosion out there when all the things went off.
Every year, aircraft incidents in the Air Force are linked to mechanical failure, improper adherence to maintenance standards, or faulty production methods. Each incident puts lives at risk, wastes millions in taxpayer dollars, and threatens the United States' hold on air superiority. Your work at the 309th Commodity Maintenance Group plays a critical role in the success of aircraft performance and U.S. Air Force operations as a whole. Each member is important to the team, just as each part is an important function of the aircraft as a whole. When one fails, the rest can suffer catastrophic failure. What you do and the degree of precision in which you do it affects lives and U.S. military capabilities.
It's just a very humbling thought to have when so much of what's going on lies on your shoulders, but you're so dependent on so many other people to make that happen. We can't afford to not be good at what we do. You have to make sure you are excellent in fixing the aircraft or building a certain part that's going to go on that aircraft. For me to be able to do my job effectively, to concentrate on the things that I need to concentrate on and give the mental capacity to all those different things, whether it's flying or navigating or dropping bombs, I have to free my mind of worry.
One of the 3 Air Force core values emphasizes the importance of achieving excellence in all we do. Your attention to detail is critical at every step of the aircraft maintenance process. When dealing with systems as complex as military aviation, even the smallest imperfection can have the greatest impact on performance.
What happened was there was a manufacturing defect in the first stage fan blade. There was a 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch of one of the corners had a fold in the casting process that created a weakness. That blade had been in that engine for about 800 hours of flying, and it finally got to the point where it let go. So that was enough of a defect that the rest of the blade sheared through. So this entire titanium piece weighs about, I don't know, only about 2 pounds or so for a good sized chunk of metal. It goes through the engine, destroys all the blades behind it and everything else, starts a titanium fire. miss an inspection, something as small as a tiny 1/4 inch by a 1/2 inch defect in a fan blade, and you've got a $24 million aircraft in the dirt, and hopefully nobody hurt. The key message here is consequences. So everything you do every day matters. There are severe consequences of the job not being done right. And it's tough to see when it's just one part and you see this one piece of, I don't know, a couple 100,000, maybe 1 million that go into an F-16. But every one of those has to function properly or they can be pretty drastic consequences. And in my case, it was about the most drastic you can get right out of eject from an airplane. Every piece that goes on that jet has to be 100% in tolerance right where it needs to be. There are so many components and every one of them has major consequences. It might not even cause a crash of an airplane and still cause major consequences. If we have a fuel leak or an oil leak, we're supposed to jettison our stores and get rid of that stuff so we can get the jet back as quick as we can. Well, if you jettison stores, now you've got 4,000 pounds of gas coming off the wing tanks plus 4,000 pounds of bombs coming off, that's what you're carrying, and again, that's going somewhere on the ground, right? So there's consequences to every little thing that goes on that airplane if it's not done.
As an employee of the 309th Commodity Maintenance Group, it is imperative that you remember each day how critical of a role you play in the success of our operations. If you notice a problem, no matter how small, stop and take appropriate actions. Even if it means delaying process or slowing production goals, we must maintain precision over all else. You are a critical part of this operation. Just as a pilot prepares himself for work by ensuring adequate sleep and mental awareness, you must prepare yourself each day to perform this job.
If you're having a day where you feel that you can't do your job the way that it needs to be done, then it's not a day to go to work, right? So either you call in sick, if you need to call in sick, you take a break, you do whatever it is that you need to do to ensure that you have the job done correctly. Not getting it done in time is better than doing it wrong, period.
The U.S. Air Force maintains air superiority in a complex theater of operations. This ability helps ensure the freedoms of all citizens of the United States. You are a critical part of the success we achieve. We are relying on you as much as the warfighter in the field. Do your part by paying attention to details and making it your daily motto to achieve excellence in all that you do. Our fighters and their families trust their lives to the quality of your work.
The Middle East, Central and South Asia. Our earliest recorded history, the rise and fall of empires and kingdoms, the common birthplaces of religion, science, and architecture. The Holy Lands, archaeological centerpieces, focal points of worldly wealth, extreme poverty, political strife, and social unrest. War. The Middle East, Central and South Asia lay claim to some of the most challenging and historic moments of time. It still remains one of the most strategically important geographical regions on Earth. Events in this region impact security and economies around the globe. U.S. Central Command has played a key role in confronting challenges in this region and protecting U.S. vital interests since its establishment in 1983. CENTCOM has managed critical operations, liberating Kuwait from invasion, protecting the skies over refugee populations, and fighting against terrorism, piracy, genocide, and threats of war. Partnerships with regional and international militaries are key to the command's continued effectiveness by enabling partner nations to assume greater responsibility for security and stability. This partnership creates the largest and most diverse coalition in U.S. military history. A coalition of more than 40 nations providing senior representatives to the command. This coalition is essential to the management of operations in the Central Region and is bolstered by more than 50 exercises annually, designed to strengthen cooperation and enhance interoperability. U.S. Central Command, headquartered in Tampa, Florida, works to set the conditions for regional security, stability, and prosperity, and to respond to crises involving U.S. vital national interests and those of America's partners and allies. CENTCOM's component commands: the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Special Operations personnel located throughout the region perform these critical functions and regularly work with partner nations on common challenges. They work together, managing operations, preventing conflicts from escalating, providing humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, shaping conditions for a more stable and secure region. Every day, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and civilians of U.S. Central Command serve on the front lines of America's most complex security challenges. CENTCOM keeps resources flowing through key shipping lanes, defends against terrorism and violent extremism, while striving to prevent proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. CENTCOM works towards a brighter future, a thriving center of international trade, and a community of peace and historic culture. Today and into the future, U.S. Central Command remains ready, engaged, and vigilant in its mission to establish conditions for security, stability, and prosperity.